Star, Republican influencer with 498,000 subscribers on YouTube. Get up for Blair White!
And the host of our panel and the creator of the Q, reality TV casting producer for shows like Lohan's Beach Club and Project Runway, Jeffrey Marks. All right, we'll be back.
Oh, shit.
Your mics are under your seats.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that, Jonathan and Kyle. Hi everyone, thank you for being here. And welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of The Q, a queer talk show. First of all, I want to welcome all our guests and thank you to our audience for being here still and hanging out 45 minutes later. Give yourselves a round of applause. I think that's really awesome. And thank you very much to the staff here at the Ruby LA for making this happen in the time constraints we were in. We really appreciate it sincerely. So first, I want to kind of talk to our guests and say hello. Seth, how have you been? I haven't seen you in a minute.
Hi, I'm really good. Thank you for having me.
That's good. What have you been up to? I haven't seen you in like 2 months.
Yeah, I'm in school, and that's most of what I do. I'm also preparing for my wedding.
Oh, when is that?
September 26th.
Okay.
I'm really excited about that. So, but other than that, like I write, I talk, I internet.
Is it a destination wedding or?
It is Tel Aviv, Israel.
Oh.
Yeah, he's Israeli. It's not an arbitrary choice. Yeah.
That's delightful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Pink Fox, how have you been?
Well, thank you.
Good. You were such a hit on our 6th episode of Season 1. I wanted to bring you back because we kind of got gypped on our Christmas special.
We did.
Yeah, some of the Christmas stuff fell off of the Christmas special.
I know, like some of my best stories.
Like really good stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're here. We're going to recreate magic in a totally non-Christmas way.
Yeah.
Thank you for being our Ruby comedian representative this evening.
Thank you for having me.
And you know, next here on the panel, I have not seen this guy in a very long time. This is an old school New York UCB friend of mine, Lucas Zachary Hazlitt. How have you been, sir?
I've been great.
That's
Doing a great job.
Oh, you got your masculine voice on tonight.
I'm trying to pass his mask.
Oh, okay. Well,
So, listening at home.
whatever your pronouns are, I respect them.
No, I've been good. Been working.
Yeah, good.
And filming stuff and trying to write and pitch and sell stuff and just grinding.
Yeah, you're hustling. You're good. You're
Hustling.
amazing. You're going to be famous.
I'm trying.
Try. And hopefully also rich, not just famous.
I know, that's really, more so than famous, rich is the...
It's the most important thing. Especially now that I'm 41, that's something I've realized. I don't want to be rich and famous, just famous.
Just, no, rich.
I mean, just rich.
Just rich.
See, I'm so confused. I'm up so late tonight that my brain has melted. Next on the panel is a new friend of mine that I reached out to online, and I was like, you know what? I like her stuff on YouTube. It's well produced. She's well spoken. I usually disagree with 85% of the things she says. Let's have her on my show. Blair, how have you been?
I've been amazing. It's my first time here, like a virgin. I'm excited.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit for our listeners who might not be super familiar with your work. What do you do?
So I'm a YouTuber, social media influencer. That term is kind of gross, but it fits, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Just an internet person.
An internet person.
I live there.
And you're like making, like, that's your life. You're living now on there, right? That's like a real job for people your age, right?
It's a real job, and I have real money from it. It's amazing.
That's great. Well, congratulations. Maybe you can teach me something. So that's our panel this evening. I want to start first with our opening segment, Yas Are Over It, which for those of you who don't know what Yas Are Over It is I'm going to name a thing that's happening in pop culture and politics right now. And we want a big audience response along with the panel. If you're into the thing, you say Yas. You scream Yas. And if you're over the thing and if you don't like it, you're going to say over it. All right? Is that pretty clear?
Can we get a test?
Yeah.
A test from just so I can gauge.
Yeah, let's gauge this. Let's try Yas Are Over It. The Super Bowl. No Yasses. Okay.
I mean, it's literally already over.
I know. What about Yas, we're over it. The Masked Singer. Oh, you guys, my roommates are going to be so disappointed. They watch it every week. They love it. And it made me love it. And now I feel weird about saying yeah.
What's the appeal, though? Like,
It's all the suspense. And you got to figure out the clues.
corny.
I have not been sold yet.
There's clues.
Yas or over it? State of the Union.
Over
Over it. Yeah.
Also
great.
over.
Also, I mean, everything's gonna be over. We're living in the now, Seth. This is the now. This is the here. Yas or over it? Nancy Pelosi, the fuck you clap. Yes. One over it. Great. Yas or over it? The Lego Movie 2.
Over it.
Nobody into that. Okay. Yas or over it? Liam Neeson. Over it. I mean, dude really stepped in it this week, right?
Oh.
I mean, like, what are you doing?
If
Like,
anyone said yes, I mean, that'd be gross.
that would be weird, right? That's why some of these are little landmines to see who's crazy. Yas or over it? Julie Chen Moonves.
Over it.
I'm so over it. Like, we get
Over
it.
it.
You're standing by your man. Like, come on. Like, okay, great. All right. Yas or over it? Democrats in Virginia. Over it. You guys, over it. We have to be over it, right?
Over it.
like if we can't uphold everybody to the same standard, we have to be, over our own, right? Yas or over it? Jeff Bezos' dick pics.
Over it.
Over it. Oh, I'm yassing that hard.
Yas. We haven't even seen him yet. How can we be over it? We haven't even seen him.
His dick is probably going to take down the president finally. And not that way. Yas or over it? Gucci.
Over it.
Did something happen with Gucci?
Oh, no one knew what.
Because
Okay.
it's not like I've ever been able to afford Gucci, but
Let me explain. Gucci made what was perceived as like a blackface
Oh, yeah.
turtleneck, sort of weird kind of thing.
how is a turtleneck blackface?
I mean,
Because it was black and had big red lips. It was awful.
it was
But the turtleneck did, or the person wearing the turtleneck?
Well, she
Like
put
turtleneck.
she
The
put on
turtleneck
the
itself.
turtleneck itself, but she
Oh, so the actual design had like blackface just woven into it.
Yes.
Yes.
We'll show you. We'll show everyone online. It's called Google Google Gucci. It's probably the first thing that comes up. Yas or over it? The Ted Bundy tapes. Yes, I have a few lady friends that are over it because it's made by a man and glamorizes man stuff and like
Completely over it.
all that stuff. But I watched it and I liked it fine.
Right.
Yas or over it? R. Kelly.
Over
That should be really a hard over it. This front row, that was a very light over it you got. Okay, all right. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Spice. Something you guys don't know. This is the magic of the first live audience, you guys. Usually we record here in the studio, and that's what we do to have like a commercial break. We clearly didn't have an actual commercial break. We're going right into spicy issues. You guys, first, I want to talk about, since we're first back for season 2 here, the 2020 election season has officially begun. There's 900 million people running for president. What do we kind of think of the lay of the land right now? This is just open discussion. What is your first reaction to this topic?
It's overwhelming.
As he reads off a list.
I bring notes, and I mean, from what I understood from the notes we were given about the spicy issues, I was talking about like our initial reactions to the candidates, and like there are a lot of them on the left, obviously, and I mean Elizabeth Warren had a really hard week, and there's just been everybody's kind of stressing me out a little bit.
Who's the most stressful to you?
In this Elizabeth Warren isn't stressful. I'm just glad this is over. Like, I mean, she's not Native American. She's sorry for not being Native American, and we can just like move on and like
Yeah.
let this be over.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point because definitely she did something wrong. She was dumb for that. I think if that's the only thing anyone has to say and it's not about her policies, that's kind of scary and telling. But Blair, I'm guessing you might disagree.
I think the only person on the left who could stand a chance against Trump
Oh my God, tell us the secret.
is Joe Biden. It's the only person.
Okay.
And on the right, I don't think there's anyone.
Yeah,
Obviously
so do you think anyone in the Republican Party is going to run against Trump?
Some people will, but they'll fail. I mean, I think like the number is like 80% of the Republican Party is behind Trump, so it's basically his party at this point. There's really no chance.
Is that kind of, it's like if you dick over the cult leader, then you're going to get ousted from the cult?
Pretty much.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't think anyone could overtake Trump, to be honest. Joe Biden's the only one on the left that could stand a chance. I don't think anyone.
Uh-huh. You don't think shouldn't we be looking for a more progressive candidate? Because that's kind of was the gripe between Hillary and Bernie, is that we didn't put in the more progressive candidate.
I have an issue with it because I feel like every candidate right now is like racing, like sprinting to be the most progressive, the most far left that they could possibly be, to get the most attention, to get the most people to be like, oh wow, they're so progressive. Like, you know, everybody's kind of contradicted. Like Kamala Harris and Cory Booker both contradicted a lot of their stances on like foreign affairs, which is, I personally like care a lot about foreign affairs. It's just like foreign policy is like my thing. And they both have been like incredibly pro-Israel and incredibly like involved in that. And Cory Booker was, when he was the mayor of New Jersey, made this like great pro-Israel speech, and he's like always been really close with his friends, this rabbi, and then he voted against the Middle Eastern, like, the financial, like, they were voting on, like, giving them the money, the security money and all that, and he was like, no, with Kamala, and Warren, and Sanders.
So, but here's the question is, are we going to have a perfect candidate? And if not, can we just get over it and vote for the person that's not Trump?
Is that the qualification?
Yes.
Not Trump?
Yes,
it is.
that's the biggest qualification. That's my fear, is that we're going to have this cannibalistic infighting, and every single one of these candidates, you already see, there's always going to be one thing where it's like, with Kamala Harris, who I think is a great senator from California, but already people are finding out that, you know, she was very pro-prison, very pro-jailing of people of color, and it's like, oh, is that going to haunt her? With every single candidate that comes out on the left, there's going to be that one thing that triggers someone else in the Democratic Party, where it's like, you're not a strong ally for gays, the gay one's going to be not strong.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a thing, whereas while we're cannibalizing, all Donald Trump has to do is literally just go up there and be like, I'm white, I'm still racist. You know, he just has to keep doing that. I'm so sorry, honey, but that's what he is. He's a piece of shit, and all he has to do is continue to be a piece of shit, and they're going to vote for the piece of shit that puts in place the piece of shit policies that the pieces of shit want in place.
Claire?
No, I will say, I think you're right in the sense that on the left, there is much more, not on the last part, but on the first part, there's much more of a sense of the cannibalism on the left. You know, one thing will kind of make a huge controversy, whereas on the right, there's a lot more of a uniform sort of support.
Oh yeah, no, they circle their wagons, like, intensely, in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is honestly the key to success. It's being uniform. Whereas on the left, I think there's a lot more cannibalism, a lot more nitpicking of people, which I think is
Like,
ultimately
to
a
death.
problem.
To death.
To death. So I think that's an issue.
Yeah, I'm staying off Facebook until 2020, let me tell you.
I think that's a smart move.
I don't want to hear it from nobody. You're going to see an ad for this show, and that's fucking it.
Is there space for Howard Schultz?
No.
Okay.
You think yes? I mean, you're free to disagree with me.
Absolutely, I disagree with you. I think it's incredibly important to have a candidate that kind of says that both sides are fucking it up, and that he's willing to kind of like find a middle ground and not do this super PAC bullshit. And he's like, you know, I think it's a little bit frustrating because Howard Schultz is somebody who's like advocating for the fact that like it should rely on the companies to have like to take care of their employees, that like that's where this like healthcare and things like that should be supplemented, and like you could do tax incentives for companies to be able to make those things. Like Starbucks, he worked for Starbucks, and Starbucks absolutely gives you the opportunity to get an education and to have insurance and those types of things without relying on the taxpayers to cover it for people who couldn't get it themselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's an idea that hasn't been presented by either side, and because we're in this like zero-sum political like atmosphere where it's like your win is my loss, I feel like he's the only person, at least at this point, I'm intrigued by the fact that he's willing to find this middle ground that doesn't count a point for either side.
Mm-hmm. Neat. Pink Fox, I have a question. What's your take on the current field? I noticed your microphone's a little limp there, and you're kind of sad about the topic. Do you have an opinion on it in any way?
If I was into theater, I'd live in New York. That's how I feel. And, you know, I'm not really political. Everybody's full of shit. And we'll see what happens. My one little vote is not going to fucking sway no tables.
But you're still going to vote?
Of course.
Great. All right. That's fine. Next spicy issue. So this kind of goes back, in the last couple weeks, but I think it's important to address since it's our first episode back. Kind of the general question being is, does the left need to take a breath when it comes to developing news stories? And I mean that with the Covington kids and the Jussie Smollett as examples that are kind of in the now being discussed about that.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't
go for it. Pete, why don't you go first?
I'm just going to say this. There are people that feel just by having this particular president that they can be so ignorant as to not only be disrespectful in public, which is fine, say what you want, right? But like, there's a guy like, I'm gonna strangle every tranny I see and shit like this. And he feels like he's in the right because of the times, you know, all this shit. So yeah, I do think that we need to show people like Jesse that are actually being fucking assaulted. It's not just words anymore. This guy actually got his ass whooped. And it's important that people see that and say, oh my God, what the fuck, right? Because the whole issue is not being able to speak your piece without somebody trying to be violent against you. If we're gonna have a conversation, let's have a conversation. But once it turns to violence, it's something completely different. So yes, publicizing this, putting it out there, letting people know what's going on is very important.
Blair?
Violence is absolutely wrong, especially political violence, violence against people who are LGBT because of being LGBT, absolutely. But I think in regard to the actual question, which is should the left be more careful in terms of like spotting news where it's proven, absolutely. I think it's the biggest gift to the Republican Party when things are just spouted off really, really quickly. One of the things is that I remember after the election, there was a supreme influx of stories about hate crimes that came out to be false. There was people saying, you know, my hijab was torn off in a train. And
Yeah, that was a
it
big false
wasn't.
one, yes.
There was a lot of that. So, I mean, obviously those types of things need to absolutely be called out, but people need to actually seek out evidence for the stories first.
Well, but here's the thing about
We're
evidence,
leaving it
though,
blindly.
is that like with the Jussie Smollett thing, just because the beating isn't plastered all over the news and it's not on camera, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. I mean, we even had like, you know, during the campaign season, Trump literally was on camera saying, grab him by the pussy, and it didn't mean a shit, but it's there on camera. But why does when some black gay guy get beat up, you need proof?
He didn't say that on camera, but I know what you mean.
Well, on a microphone.
Well,
Thank you for correcting me.
Well, I think because it's actually a potential hate crime and something that needs to be proven in court, that's why proof needs to be given. Because, I mean, if you're going around trying to convict people, there has to be proof. It can't just be
But
a
should it
story.
just be glazed over at the same time?
No, it should be proven.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
It should be proven
put out
now.
there. Yeah, I agree.
Because I personally feel, you know, I'm completely reserving my opinion on that story until the facts come out.
Yeah,
Because,
same.
Same,
because,
yeah.
I mean,
Something happened.
Something
course,
absolutely happened to me, and for my personal opinion, based on the things that have been come out about it so far. The story seems fishy to me. That's not saying it didn't happen. That's saying I want harder evidence because it's hard to take it at face value so far.
Right.
For
This
me.
Go ahead,
also
Luca.
isn't a left-right issue. This is a media issue. The way the media works is an event happens,
Agreed.
we report that an event happens, and everyone rushes to comment on the event as we have information for. Then as new information comes, that's why every time you go to the news, they always have breaking news. Breaking news is now happening 24 hours a day, where every hour Wolf Blitzer gets trotted out there and he goes, hey, we got new information. Every hour on Fox News, someone comes out and hey, we have a new tape, new tapes, new angles, new this, and the whole thing is, we're not with the Covington kids.
Yeah.
First of all, let's go to the beginning. You show up to a fucking march for life in a MAGA hat, and you are a white kid from the South that goes to a Catholic school, MAGA hat, white kid, Catholic school, South, women's march for life against women. I don't need to see angles to know that you're a piece of shit. That's the story.
I
You're a piece of
disagree.
hold on a sec. That's fair. I'll let you get to that. You're a piece of shit. If you show me an angle of an African American yelling at you, that doesn't mean. Well, yeah, the news doesn't.
I
Suddenly
mean, those guys are crazy.
they're insane.
They're insane, but that's not the story.
No.
It's part of it.
But it doesn't change what happened with the white kids.
What, him standing there and smirking while he didn't do anything to that guy?
The guy standing there smirking. I understand what you're saying. The guy standing there smirking is not even the story. The story to me, the bigger story is why in this country do we go out of our way to absolve that kind of person the second we get any kind of secondary angle we can get that goes.
didn't though. I
Yes,
feel like
Absolve him of something he hasn't done.
It
There's
was
no, he stood
crucifying them
there.
immediately. It
You
wasn't
doxed a
absolving.
child.
Hold on, I didn't dox nobody. Okay. What happened is we have footage of a kid being an asshole. Should that kid lose like his job when he gets a job? Should he lose his paper route? No, he shouldn't lose his paper route. Should he not be allowed to go to college? No, he should not be allowed to go to college. But you got caught being an asshole on tape.
I have to jump in. What
Jump in.
What would you do if someone, you know, the context removed. The hat removed.
You can't remove it. You can't do that. The hat
Like I
is
say,
fake.
hypothetical situation. Someone's banging a drum with the sticks this close to your eyes, close to your
Understood.
face. I would personally whip that person's ass. You're not putting a stick in my eye.
You wouldn't just move out of the way?
If
You can do that too.
Why is the expectation that he has to react to it in a way that you see fit, and he has to move for someone who came up to
All he
him?
did was
They were-
stand there.
He stood there. He literally
He stood
did what
there.
we want people to do, which is not incite violence, not
Yes.
try to attack someone, insult them. He just stood there with a stupid face.
Agreed.
And I'm sorry, that's the best case scenario for a 17-year-old who
Agreed.
could have acted
I
like
agree.
a donkey, and he didn't.
I mean,
He
they were.
still doxed
They
him.
were though. Part of the other part of that tape is those same kids were like screaming, "Hey, if she lacks it, it ain't rape if she
No
don't
one
say it."
all
said
yelling
that,
at
and
each
it was
other.
All I'm
immediately
saying
addressed that
is-
he was not a student.
Hold on. All I'm saying is this idea that the left jumps to conclusions and the right doesn't is stupid. Everyone jumps to conclusions to fit their narrative.
Yes.
You show me a piece of tape, I'm gonna look into that as I need to look into that fits my confirmation bias. We all do it. That's the news story.
It's theater.
It's theater.
It's theater.
So, in summation, maybe everyone should take a breath with,
Everyone
with
should
news
take a
stories.
breath. That's my only objection was how that was presented.
Blair,
Should
go
the
ahead.
left
Final
take a
point
breath?
on this,
We all
Blair,
should
go
take
for
a
it.
breath.
Oh, okay, final point. I was just gonna say, I agree. It was the absolute best possible scenario that there was no violence. It's like everyone was screaming at each other. It just so happens that one group of people was painted as the asshole, and I think that is the media bias that we're talking about.
Next up, did you guys hear about this yet? This is a new one that I like. Kellyanne Conway is suing someone for assaulting her. Did we hear about this yet? No. Great, let me tell you. And then I'll bounce it to you. So Kellyanne Conway was on CNN. I don't know why she was on that, but she was on CNN being interviewed about being assaulted in a restaurant next to her daughter. And here's what happened: is a liberal lady, grabbed her from behind. You should not have done that. And like shook her to be like, hey, you. And now she's getting sued for assault. Is that assault?
Allegedly.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to see a video.
Yeah.
There currently is a video. She said her daughter took a video. We haven't seen the video.
Yes, yes.
but-
I mean, don't you think that video would be all over the news right now?
Can I just say that the condescending tone you have for someone who actually physically touched someone and shook them, compared to the way that you addressed a 17-year-old boy smirking at a Native American with all those other circumstances, is telling. Like, that shows
In which way?
something.
What?
It shows that you want to give a break to a woman who touched someone. You don't touch people. I don't care what you think.
No,
You don't
I
touch
agree.
me.
You shouldn't touch people.
But she did,
I
and
said
you're
that.
laughing about it. You're like, oh my god, and then she's.
I'm not laughing about the assault. I'm laughing at it being called assault.
And we want a video so bad of that, but not of
But
the
we don't-
Jesse stuff.
It's-
If there's a video of the Jesse stuff, that's fine. But there are pictures of his face, right? Aren't there pictures of what he looked like? Did he do that to himself? Did he fall down the steps or some shit?
Something happened.
Yeah, something happened.
And I want to see it, but
It sounds like to me. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I do not mean to be disrespectful.
No, you're fine.
It sounds like to me when I was listening to her tell the story, and this is someone like I said. I don't give a fuck about anybody's political whatever. Don't touch me, okay? I don't care how you feel when you get home. Put your hat on, wear your pants. I don't give a fuck. Don't touch me. Don't say nothing wild to me in public. I don't give a fuck. That's me being from Jersey. That's me being a normal person. So, So it's like somebody touches you, they grab your wrist, all this shit, you're appalled. You're with all these other parents. If there was something going on that was violent, somebody would have stepped in and been like, hey, what the fuck? There would have been a big issue. Now all of a sudden it's, hey, I was assaulted and I'm suing this woman. You're suing probably an old lady who, grabbed your arm and said, I don't
Suing!
I don't like
You have given the benefit of the doubt 1,000 times over to someone. You've assumed her age. You've assumed her intent. You've assumed so many things. But this 17-year-old, which we have 2 hours of footage of what
Just
actually
smirking.
did,
Just smirking.
we have implied so much to his intent, and it's
I didn't
ridiculous.
have an opinion about the 17-year-old kid. I think Fox stayed quiet.
But you should have just a little bit, since you got this opinion on the other side.
That sounds a little, come on here.
I will say this.
I think they both sound ridiculous, but we were only
Blair.
mad about one.
Go for it, Blair.
I will say this. I think the tone and the climate of everything that's happening is incredibly toxic. I'm someone that I had a YouTube video where I wore a Make America Great Again hat on Hollywood Boulevard to see what happened. Social experiment, let's see. I was assaulted twice on camera. It's something that does happen. And so I think that in terms of, again, bringing it back to the Covington boys, I think it was absolutely beautiful that no one touched anyone. I will say the closest to anyone getting physical to that was the person drumming in the person's face. That was the closest. So I think jumping to conclusions is bad with all of this. And I want evidence for everything. With the Jussie stuff, with the Kellyanne Conway stuff, I think it's important for everyone to reserve their opinions until things are proven.
I agree with you. The same thing with the drum shit. Give me my bubble. It's not the fucking. This is America. Give me my bubble. I don't want somebody in my space doing shit that I deem is disrespectful.
Yes.
Not like I'm gonna punch you in the face because I'm a lady, but get the fuck out of here. What are you doing?
Right.
Yeah. All right.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial. How's everyone doing? Good. Making sure everyone's alive out there. This is the late night show. Late night show.
I feel like I'm on The View.
Good.
Like.
Good. That's what it's supposed to
Am
do.
I cursing too much?
All right, hold on. Give me a minute for the editor to jump back in. Great. Welcome back to the Q. Thank you, everyone. Hey, audience, how's it going? Good. Just making sure that you get caught on the microphone once. Thanks. So this next segment is called Question Bowl. And usually what happens is we have the panel from one week will leave questions for the panel for the next week. Since this is the first episode, I have a few that have been gathered with some of the audience members, some people online, yada, yada, yada. And we will go through those. So the first question I want to start with is Shawn Mendes gay? So.
Stop asking that. Leave him the fuck alone. Do you know how weird it was in middle school? Like, I'm sorry, I'm from Tennessee, so like, when I grew up, people would say like, "Oh, you're gay? Are you gay?" Like, it was shoved down my throat before I ever even had a concept of. I was like 11. I didn't want any sex, much less with dudes. And the idea that like people are going to project that onto you and demand that you like have an answer for that, or that you understand that and you express that to me because I owe that to you or something, it was gross in middle school, and it's gross to an adult man who's straight up told people leave him alone. He's like, I'm not gay. It's weird that you say I'm gay. I don't want attention for being gay because I'm not gay. And it's like, so let it be. Let the man be not gay. Like, you can still want to fuck him and not demand that
say that though? I thought he was just being
definitively said it on Twitter. He was like, I'm not
leave
gay.
him alone. We should leave him alone.
Just
Sure, no, I agree with that. Hey, just because I asked the question didn't mean I...
Does he want those gay dollars though?
Seth, look, I love you, but stop fighting with me.
No, he sure does seem to. He might not be gay. I don't give a fuck. He ain't my type. I don't really give a shit about his
Oh,
music.
he's so
I don't give a shit about him. He ain't my type. I don't care about his music. But he definitely does hang out a lot with Gus Kenworthy. He does hang out a lot with some boys because he knows that's a good market to get those gay dollars. Don't mean he's gay, but he sure do be playing for them.
Sure. I'm having a fun brain moment. So a couple years ago, after the Pulse shootings, I was in New York City.
Jesus.
Don't shit.
Hold on. Stay with me for literally 20 seconds.
Gotcha.
I was in the West Village in front of Stonewall for like the gathering of like, there's speakers and everything. It was kind of like a vigil. And Nick Jonas was there speaking, and it got an audible laugh from the crowd because it was weird.
why are you here?
Yeah, and I do think that is an interesting side shoot to this question is, why are you courting us so hard?
I mean, gays buy stuff. I get it, but like, finding him attractive and demanding that he adhere to your sexual idea of him are two different things.
Agreed.
Because he's in the public eye, why is his sexual preference anybody's business?
Because he's in the public eye.
But remember when People Magazine was like, Britney Spears, is she still a virgin? Like, what a gross, weird, invasive question for a child. And like, she was literally like 18 at the time. And like, we're still doing that to young adults who are famous. We're like, tell us what your butthole looks like. Do you like dudes? Like, leave them alone. Like, you wouldn't want me to ask you those questions.
Right.
So,
Maybe if America wasn't such a like sexually repressed place, maybe we wouldn't have such a weird like punch out about weird stuff.
maybe?
Second question. Is it transphobic to not want to hook up with trans persons?
No.
No.
I agree. No.
Everyone has a type.
I've been yelled at that it is.
Everyone has a type.
Uh-huh.
I think it goes with the other preferences where it's like, what you do and don't like is whatever, but like, if you feel the need to tell people, I don't do this thing for blank or whatever, like, that's bizarre. Like, just, don't do it, whatever.
There's preferences, and then there's also the way that preference is communicated that I think is more important. It's like, if I'm into someone, I wasn't saying that you were saying, but if someone was like, really into me, it really doesn't work the same way. I don't even. I'm already. Ooh, there's a landmine. I'm not. I'm saying, like, I feel like it all comes down to: is that person just not your type, or did you find out something about that person and then that has all of a sudden interrupted your sexual attraction to that person?
Right.
Because that's where it starts to get a little psychological rather than physical.
Well, I don't know. I'm transgender, and I've met trans men who I find physically attractive, very much so. And when you find out they're trans, like, the attraction does honestly fade, because I'm honestly not attracted to trans men. I'm just not. And I don't think that's bigoted or transphobic. I think everyone has a type and what they're interested in, and I think that's fine.
I don't know. As a trans woman myself, and it's good to be two of us here. I don't know because I myself identify as a lesbian, but I mean, femininity is what I'm attracted to altogether. So like, I would date like a femme gay guy, but he's got to be like really fucking femme. You know what I'm saying? One step away from like having the shit done himself. You feel me? But I don't know. It's like if somebody, you meet someone and like all the sparks are flying and you like this person and the conversation is amazing. We're not talking Tinder here. We're just saying like in person, like old school. And then they're like, oh, hey, this is going great. By the way, I'm transgender. And you're like, oh, fuck you. That's completely, what is that? Is that transphobic, or is this guy just like, well, I mean, are we figuring out? Have I been?
Yeah, what's up with the mic over there?
Hey,
Is the mic okay for Pete?
Is Fox getting some love? No? Yes?
You Fox.
Thank you. All right, give me this.
All right.
So, basically what I was saying was, I don't know if it depends on the context, is basically what I'm saying. If you're attracted to trans women and that's your thing, that's fine. But if one day you run across a person and they happen to be trans, and you're like, well, fuck you because you're trans, I think that's where the question comes into play. And then, you have to evaluate yourself and your own points of view.
I mean, also, like I said, I come from Tennessee. Like, I met my first trans person, and the only trans person I ever knew in real life, when I was 19, and I didn't meet another trans person until I moved here when I was 23. I didn't know what that truly meant. I didn't know what trans sex involved. I knew it wasn't me, and I knew that I didn't know it. And so I know that there's a ton of people out there who don't experience trans people in any capacity enough to, like, really develop an understanding of what they're attracted to considering them. And I think that learning curve also, for better or for worse, contributes to that idea that like people think they're not attracted to it because they're not exposed to it.
Can I end with something?
Yeah.
I don't think we should be like grabbing the pitchforks and lighting the torches for people who are like, hey, I'm not attracted to trans people.
Right.
That's your prerogative. We're sexy as fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
No,
If you don't like us, there are other people who do.
Right.
We might be sad today, but tomorrow's a new day.
No, I think that's a good point, because I definitely personally have been screamed at by trans people for even talking about it. Like, I know you two, like, personally, so I feel like comfortable.
Yeah.
But literally, I'm sometimes afraid of trans people because they're going to yell at me about the wrong thing. No, it's true. But I am. Right? Am I crazy? Or
You're not crazy.
saying that?
They yell at all of us. Claire, you been yelled at?
Oh yeah, no, definitely,
Yeah,
for
we
sure.
fucking yelled at.
And I just think it's, again, it comes with this concept of taking a breath. Is you got to be able to tell when someone's genuinely being like curious and nice about it, and like being a bigot and a dick.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. All right, next question. Who was the first person you came out to?
Ooh.
My wilderness therapist. Would you like to know more?
Yeah, but like quickly.
Okay, so I was accidentally sent to a cult for 2 years, and the preliminary to that was that I went to a therapeutic wilderness program, which was a 6-week program that I was in for 13 weeks. And at some point, I decided to write my parents back in Tennessee that I was gay, because I was like, oh my god, if they hate me, I'm legit in the woods in Georgia, so like, what are you gonna do? And that's how I came out.
I love it.
God damn, that's funny. Oh my god. I thought you were gonna say you were a Boy Scout or some shit like this.
Bitch, I wish.
Oh my god.
That's great. That's great.
Man.
Go for it.
First person I came out to. God damn. Is what? That's a lot.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
great question.
transgender
That's the
lesbian.
first step of whatever your coming out process was.
Okay, so I don't know if I think I told you the story last time, like off mic or whatever, but I didn't know I was biologically male. I had a crush on a little boy. I was in like pre-K. I walked over to him. I was like, "Hi, I think you're cute." Like, you know, me and my girlfriends had talked about it, and he's like, "Ew, you're a boy. Get away from me." And I was like, "What?" And like, nobody told me that was what my label was. I had no idea. I was just like, I like this person, and I'm gonna go say hi. Maybe we could play, I don't know, catch or something. You know, I don't know, fucking. So I accidentally, you know, ousted myself at that moment, and I guess the first person I honestly, you know, was like, honestly, hey, I'm transgender. It's my cousin. My cousin's gay. He was in the ball scene when he was like back in the '80s, and like the TV show Pose. He was one of those like people. He did the balls. No pun intended, and. He did, and he was a Mizrahi, and he sat me down and he like made me watch Paris is Burning and like all of this stuff, and like caught me up on all this LGBT history, and really just made me proud of who I was, and I was able to transition like clean conscience, you know. And then the whole lesbian thing. When I came out to my family, my dad's Italian, my dad's a gangster, I'm half Italian. And my dad's a gangster back in Philly, so, and like a suit and tie gangster, not a saggy pants gangster. Like, I really come from that family. So when I was like, hey, Dad, I'm transgender, he was like, fuck, what's that gonna make me look like, right? So I'm like, you look overweight, motherfucker, you know. So, I'm just saying. So, yeah. But when he asked me, he's like, you don't have to be a woman to, you know, if you want to fuck men, just do what you do. He's like, go get a wife and do it behind the fucking, just stay in the closet. My dad says this. So, you know, men who's, you know, anyway. So I said to my dad, I was like, Dad, I like girls. And he was so confused, you know. So I guess that was like the first person. I really
Lucas, how about you?
My friends. I do not have a crazy story. Okay. I was like, yeah, I'm gay.
Claire?
I have always been out. I feel like I never had to actually say to anyone. Like
they just knew?
I was just so feminine growing up that everyone knew something was different. I was either going to turn out gay or trans. And so as I got older, I was initially saying gay and it wasn't fitting. And then once I hit like 19, 20, I was like, I think I'm trans. Mm-hmm. And then it was kind of a progression. It was never like a statement, you know?
Right.
It was easy.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, congratulations.
What about you, Jeff?
Mine was, her name was CJ Lemaire. She was that was a fake name at the time, too, so she could be named anything.
It sounded fake.
But she was a psychology teacher, professor at Orange Coast College that I was my first like freshman year at, and she made us write these papers, like a worldview paper, and I wrote a worldview paper about being bisexual, and she had little meetings with everyone, like one-on-one in her office, and she goes, your paper's very well written, it's very good, you should be a writer. Talk to me about being bisexual. She knew, she was calling me on it, and then I rewrote my paper.
She was like, you can't write a paper that's based on a lie, Jeffrey.
I was like, I was just making sure everyone's paying attention. Question, if you were invisible, what's the first thing you would do?
I'm
Go to
sorry.
Area 51. Sorry.
What was that?
Go to Area 51. I want to see what the fuck's going on.
Lucas?
First thing I would do if I were invisible, I would probably spy on my enemies.
Great.
I go to DC and wrist smack the president, like old school 1920 style, just whack, you know. He goes, what the fuck? It's my thing, I do that.
Sad.
When we got our topic list, I wrote a note next to this and said, trick question, pass.
Why?
Because, no, I said pass.
Okay. This is the first time you've ever been untruthful in the
Can I
moment.
change
That wasn't
mine?
untruth. I told you what I felt and what I decided.
I meant something different.
I'm gonna change mine.
Yeah,
The
okay.
first thing I would do if I were invisible is walk in on Seth saying out loud and alone in his apartment what he would do if he was invisible. So
Or you can just watch him on Instagram for that. Mine would be I would go into locker rooms.
Okay, well, I feel safer.
I wouldn't do anything.
I can share mine.
Yeah, I wouldn't do anything in there. I just hang out and watch like sports teams.
That's not rapey.
No, I'm not raping anybody. Last question for questionable. What would happen if you took your parents to a gay bar? Or a queer lady bar or whatever?
Not a whole lot. Like, Barb would be like, no, please, nobody look at me. I don't want any attention. Why am I here? And my dad would just be like, so this is what being gay is. I remember one time I wore corduroy capris when I was like first coming out. I was 16, and my dad was like, so is this how gay people dress? And I was like, yes, I'm all gays. This is what we do.
Pink, what about you?
I'd have to take my dad without him knowing. And then when he got there, he'd know. He'd be like, what the fuck? Right? But my mom, though, she might be a little more comfortable. Because I'd let my mom in on the gag. Like, hey, there's a gay bar, Mom. And she'd be like, all right. But, these people are going to hell. It's party in hell one time, Fuck it.
Lucas, how about you?
If I brought my mom to a gay bar, she would probably lean over to me and be like, "You're not having any fun either, are you?" And we'd leave. And if I brought my dad to a gay bar, I'd be like, "Dad, we gotta go because the cops are probably looking for you because you just broke out of prison. So we need to go.
Hurry it up.
I shouldn't be trolling for Nick. Well, we gotta get you out. Wait, we gotta hide your ass."
Claire?
I took my mom to the Abbey for my birthday, and she was unbothered. I was shocked because I didn't think she'd ever been to one, but she didn't even mind. It was surprisingly nice.
Oh, nice. Well, first of all, my mom is no big deal. She's actually here in the audience this evening. Hello, Mom. Wave hi to everybody.
Oh my God, hi!
She's got the leopard skin on, representing for the LGBT.
My mom has been to 9 million gay bars, and everyone loves her, so that's no problem. My dad would be fine at a gay bar. He would just try to take all the attention in the room and be funnier than me, but then I'd win that battle eventually, and we'd go somewhere else. Thank you. That's been questionable. We'll be right back. Great. So welcome back, you guys. This has been great. We have a closing little moment here. This is a little segment that we call emotional support. And I just want to kind of encourage the reason I make this segment is because I've been told so many times in my life, you're too emotional. And I think that's bullshit. I don't think emotions get the best of you. I think they are the best of you. Go ahead, side-eye roll. Yeah, that's fine. I still love you. Yay! But I think it's good to take a moment and whatever emotion, and it could be as silly or as serious as you want it to be, but take an emotion and tell us about something that happened to you in this last week, or something in the news that maybe we haven't covered that makes you feel particularly passionate. Would anyone like to start? I will start. Seth is making me feel emotional right now. No, I'm gonna go with I'm really happy right now. So, and I think that's I think sometimes people don't get to acknowledge that they're just having a happy moment. I'm working really hard. I have almost got an amazing house. So not my own, but I'm living in one. And I think that's really hard to do in Los Angeles sometimes. And I think we have to give ourselves credit for that sometimes. That's fine.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Ah, snaps.
Who's next? Anybody brave enough?
I'll go. Mine would just be, I'm having an amazing year as well, and I'm engaged now, so I'm so happy I'm getting married this year.
You engaged? When's the date for you?
I don't know, we want to do a winter wedding though, so just positivity for me too.
In typical fashion, I will follow up 2 positives with a negative. That's what I do best. I have been feeling very frustrated. Frustration is the anxiety of frustration has been a constant emotion that I've found myself in for a significant, especially since moving to Los Angeles and taking my career very seriously. And the frustration stems from the fact that so much of and I know that there is so many things that you can do on your own, and there's empowerment, and you can do, you can film your own web series, and you can do all this, but at some point, for you to move forward, someone has to sign off and say yes. Other people are always going to be, at some level, in control of whether or not you get financed, whether or not you get recouped, whether or not you book a show, whether or not you sell a show, whether or not the show that you sold gets picked up, whether it gets made to a pilot, whether you film more episodes, renew all that crap that is an actor and a writer's nightmare in Los Angeles. And what's frustrating is I never, growing up, ever thought, ever had to think about how little power you sometimes realize you just don't have a lot of power. And that can be incredibly frustrating. So what I've tried to start doing is finding the things in my life that I have absolute dominion over, and then just kind of leaning into those, even if it's simple. I have power in what show I want to watch. It's small, it's simple, but I can choose, I'm gonna binge this show and enjoy this show. That's a small thing. I have power over what am I going to eat today? A lot of people don't have that power. Some people don't eat. That's the Jewish mom in me. Some people don't hate.
I was like, wait.
That's my mom's back of my head. But there's something very frustrating. And I didn't even, 14 years in New York City, never felt this frustrated. And that's a tough town. This town sneaks on it. It gives you a little gold, it smiles at you, puts you in the papers, and then all of a sudden it's like, you ain't got no power.
I mean, whoever told you if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere was a
Lion ass, Frank, blue-eyed ass liar.
Total liar.
I was, fuck it. I was gonna anchor, but I don't even.
She told me to go first.
Yeah. It's hilarious. Okay. I'm feeling optimistic. I hope that's not too.
No, do whatever this
crackerjack.
moment.
So basically, I'm optimistic. I just produced my first show. We sold it out here at the Ruby. Very successful. I loved it. Loved every minute of it. I want to do another one. I'm accepted everywhere, like Visa and MasterCard. Everybody's so nice to me. I'm funny. I ain't bombed yet. Fuck you if you wishing bad on me. And a lot of good things happening. I'll be in Vegas for Valentine's Day, which is amazing. And playing the slots and getting some slot. And, you know, I don't know. Life is good. Forget about it.
Awesome. Seth, why don't you close us out, my dear?
All right, in true Seth fashion, I might get teary. They give us tequila. I don't drink tequila. I'm kind of in this like weird transition period where like I'm kind of like in real time realizing that the goals and the dreams that I've had like since I was really, really small of like being some star or some Britney Spears like entity isn't probably gonna be my truth. And my my priorities are shifting in like real time. Like I'm about to be engaged and like I am devoting a lot of my time to someone that like loves me and cares about me. And I've like always been a really independent person. Like even since we've been together, it's been something that I felt like, you know, like he's there, like that's cool, but like when he's gone, I'll still be me. And it's just not like that. And I'm shifting away from this idea that like I'm gonna be in entertainment and that like I'm gonna be able to make that my whole life. And like I'm in school and like in real time I'm like doing tests in statistic economics and shit, and I'm like realizing that like my values and what I really want is shifting, and I feel like I'm mourning the loss of like the time that I've spent on like this thing I care a lot about. And at the same time, like super grateful, and I feel shitty for being sad about this like dream when I have like a man who loves me and like wants to give his whole life to me, and I just feel like this weird internal conflict of like, why do you care about dumb shit when there's somebody who would like give you the whole world? And like I do care about that, and so I'm just going through it, and it's all positive. It's kind of this self-realization of just like you're growing up, and like it's sad.
Do I have consent to side hug you?
Please.
No, I think that's good. I think knowing your emotions and being aware is good. I mean, the cornerstone to like mental health is adaptability, and as things change and whatever, then you adapt, and if you know it, then great. And I think it's funny, every time I think I might like not like you for a minute, you rope me back in and make me go,
I'm a human, Jeffrey, I promise.
I know. I wouldn't have you on the show if I didn't love you. Great, that was emotional support. Thank you very much. All right, everybody, thank you again for being here. Big round of applause to my panel, everybody. Seth, real quick, where can we find you online?
I'm at Seth Daniel on Instagram or youtube.com/SethDanielVids with an S.
Pink Fox, where can we find you online?
Instagram, I'm comedian Pink Fox, all one word. And Twitter, I'm Celine Comedy.
Lucas?
Instagram, I guess, Lucas Zachary Hazlitt. Also, you can catch me this summer on Lifetime upcoming show American Princess starting June 2nd.
All right, Blair, if we haven't already found you online, where can we find you?
Just search Blair White on YouTube, and then my Instagram is Ms. Blair White, MS Blair White.
Mm-hmm. Highly recommend, even if you don't agree with her. It's fascinating. Again, big round of applause for my panel. Panel, why don't you go ahead and take off? And we have one last segment that I'm going to bring Jonathan and Kyle back out for.
We're